Okay, so the first thing, if you're in my fleet, I want you to reload the MOTD. You can do that with the three dots on the upper right. Hit reload channels MOTD at the very bottom. That's the message of the day. So what I've prepared here is just some reference material and fits from Brave. These aren't the only fits you can do, but they fit well with this class. And so we're going to start today with the Griffin. I want you to go ahead and click it says Doc, that means Doctrine. Midge's Griffin, that's just what we call ours. This shows you the fitting of the Griffin. And what I want you to do is hit Simulate. Why did they move that down there? Okay, so if you if you expand it out or you hit the three dots at the bottom right, you hit Simulate. All right, so you should see your Griffin in kind of shadow mode. What you want to know about the Griffin, you can hit show info on any ship, but here, what it has, you go over to traits, that's the far left tab, then for every level of Caldari frigate you have, it has a 15% bonus to ECM target jammer and reduction in activation cost. The strength is really the one that you're really worried about. That's why we use the Griffins and jams together. So what does ECM do? That's what's over here in the mid slots. They're different colors, red, blue, gold, and green. And what the ECM does is an electronic countermeasure. It prevents a target. So when you activate this on an enemy, it prevents a target from targeting anybody else except for you. So they're trying to target things. Your countermeasures are preventing them if you're successful. This is a percent chance. Then they can only target you and they can shoot back to you. Used to, they couldn't shoot anybody, and that was really awesome, but they nerfed it. So now they can shoot back at you. So the best thing to do is to make sure, if you're looking at my screen, I have really good skills, but the range here for me, is 108 kilometers, optimal 64 kilometers. You're going to be safest far away from most people, so just keep those things in mind for all EWAR. All right, so let's talk specific about ECM. You'll see that this has what we call rainbow jams because we have all the colors. These colors are showing different ECM strengths. So every ship has, and every racial of a ship has different strength of sensor strength, and this is tied to the race of the ship. Red is Minmatar, and blue is Caldari. Gold is Amar, and green, or light blue, I don't know why they're so close, is Galente. So that'll come in handy later. We'll talk about that. These are strongest, where you see LADAR ECM when I'm scrolling over here. This is 9.7. If you're using a color jam, it's strongest against that race. So a red jam is best against Minmatar. So a 9.7 LADAR ECM jammer strength. If I see a Minmatar ship and I put my ECM jammer, I have the best chance of jamming them and preventing them from targeting anybody else, except for me. Same thing with blue, gold, and green. In a Griffin, so the next thing you want to know is you want to know what kind of targets you can do. You can jam anybody, but the thing is, if you jam somebody who can shoot you back, then they're just going to kill you. But there's a lot of targets, particularly in big fleets, that you can jam somebody who can't shoot you. And so if you jam them, they can target you, but they can't do anything to you. So that has the biggest effect. A lot of times, so popular targets are logistics ships or the space healers. So if you look down on MOTD, I have popular targets. And for jams, I've listed the Osprey, Scythe, Augurer, and Exec. So if one thing you can do, and we'll see this in space too, if you open up the Osprey, you'll see, I know this is a Caldari ship, but if you don't know, you can look at the show info of any ship. So here's the Augurer, and if you look at the background behind the ship, it's then that'll tell you what color jams. So this is the Executor they have up, and that's green in the background. An Augurer has a gold background. A Scythe has a red background, and Osprey has a blue background. There's some exemptions to that. The Kikimora any of the Triglavian ships, they have kind of a weird background. I can tell you they're gold. You can find that out by going to the attributes, and this works for any ship. But if you're not sure, you can also go to attributes and scroll down here, and you see sensor strength 12, and it's gold. So that means they have radar sensor, and so my gold jam is going to be the most effective. So those were the Tech 1 ships, and then if you're on more expensive fleets, things like Basilisks, Scimitars, Guardians, and Oneirises are really good targets because again, if you jam out their Logi, then they have to tell somebody, hey, I can't target anybody, I can't heal anybody, can you shoot that Griffin? Or can you shoot that Blackbird? And if they don't, then they're just going to sit out of the fight. I was able to do this. I was in the Alliance Open in 2019, I think, and maybe, anyway, I'm not sure the year, but I did this to an AT ship in the Alliance Open called a, oh, now I'm blanking, a very expensive, it's an Atana, that's what it is, sorry. I did it to an Atana, which is worth about 100 bill. So I had my Griffin that was worth about 3 million ISK, and I was able to jam it out, keep it out of the fight, and our team was able to kill all of them because they couldn't heal anybody. I'll show you that clip at the end of the class. So I have a special connection to Griffins. I love Griffins, even though they got nerfed a little bit. I'm going to look real quick. If anyone has any questions about Griffins, I want to answer those now. Put it in the Discord or Fleet Chat. All right, no specific questions now. I'll get back to any at the end of class. Oh, somebody's typing. I'll wait for Callus here. So one of the things, so the math, just while we're waiting, if you look at the attributes here, this jammer strength, this is what, this is unbonused, so it doesn't have your skills. But this is compared to the enemy's sensor strength. There's some math done, and I'm not going to go through the math today, but you can actually calculate your percent chance to jam somebody base. If you know their sensor strength, you'd have to know their fit and their skills, but you can know their max sensor strength, and you know your jammer strength, you can just figure out how much you have, how much of a chance. No, so you can activate all the jammers at one time. They are very cap hungry. We'll practice that. So it's often advised to space them out. But if it's just you, if you're the only Griffin and you only have one target, put them all on there. If it's hard for you to target more than one person, put them all on there. But if you can target 4 people and you have 4 jam colors like this, then you pick out the best targets for each color and you put them on there. Can jam targets drone target you? Assisted drones. Yes, their assisted drones can. The drone target one, that's a harder question. I think if their drones are already on you, then you're going to keep taking damage. If you're jamming them, their drones can get you, yes. So like if you're close enough to a scimitar and they can send their drones to you, yes, they can do that. Given the popularity and strength of ECM, why is it that sensor strength is prioritized so low in skill plans? So one reason is not a ton of people are flying Griffins all the time, and so you're betting that people aren't doing it. But the other thing is you kind of hope. Most people aren't docking. Brave used to be known years ago. We'd undock a fleet of Griffins. Not very many people are doing that anymore. And so you're hoping that doesn't happen to you. When people are using ECM effectively, you will see people start putting sensor strength into their comps and into their different doctrines. All right, now I'm going to move on to the Malice. So this is the Galente ship. Again, if you go back to the MOTD, this is Malice Damps, and hit simulate here. So the Malice, if we show info, traits. Again, why do we use the Malice with this? It has bonuses to the remote sensor dampener, which is this module over here. Everyone just calls them damps or dampeners. So if we go over to this, we can see that it has really good range within 141, optimal within 58. So if you're outside, this is true with jams too, anything outside your optimal, you're going to lose some effectiveness, but often you're trading your effectiveness for safety. So a lot of times it's still good to be outside the optimal range. You can see, so dampeners use scripts, but you can use them unscripted. And so here you have minus 25% scan resolution. That's the speed at what you can lock things, and minus 25% maximum targeting range. So if you're at 58 kilometers and their maximum targeting range is 65 kilometers, as soon as I turn this damp on them, then they're going to lose 25%. They won't even be able to target me back or target my friends back. So damps are really strong. Another nice thing about damps is they always work. If you're able to target the enemy and you're within range, they work. It's just how much they work depends on that optimal range. All right, so I showed you, we have two on here, and they do the same things. Then if we go to our cargo, we have a scan resolution damp, and we have a targeting range damp. So a scan resolution damp now focuses the dampener only on scan resolution, minus 50% scan resolution bonus. So that's going to make it, if me and all my friends are flying frigates, it already takes a long time for a battleship to target us. If I put this scan resolution on, then it's going to take even longer for them to even target us. So that gives us a lot of time to move, or it makes it difficult for people to target and heal their friends, things like that. The more popular, I would say, is the maximum targeting range bonus. So for the same example, if you have 65 kilometer range and you're trying to get me, and I'm at 58 kilometers, if I use this dampener on you, then you now have a 30 kilometer range and you can no longer even target me. So in that way, if I operate outside, if I know what your maximum range is and I can have it, then I have a lot more room that I can operate with, or my friends can operate on the battlefield. John, you asked about which ships. You can pick any Griffin, Crucifier, or Vigil, or Malice, whichever one you think looks cooler or that you have the skills to fly. All right, so with Malice, the picking targets is much easier. So usually if you're doing targeting range, that works on everybody. So as long as they're worried about trying to target somebody, it's going to work. You can pick, so DPS or damaging ships, that could be Caracals, Munins, Eagles, Cormorants, anything that has long range in particular, then the Malice is even better against. But it also works against Logi, and it also works against electronic warfare. One thing I've seen happen is if the enemy has a damping ship, if you target them and damp them first, well, now you've just taken their electronic warfare off the battlefield too. There's all kinds. The damps are really cool. The only kind of drawback to them is their optimal range, and their effectiveness fall off after 58. So any questions about the Malice? So this fit what we're doing here, and there's lots of public flits too. All of these rigs and things are all to maximize the range, because range is safety in EWAR. All right, no questions, so we're going to move on to the Crucifier, and if there are questions, I'll get to them later. So the Crucifier there's two different kinds of modules this works with. So if we go show info on here, so the Crucifier works with weapon disruptors, and if you go, so that's a skill, weapon disruption. So there's two different ones. I'm going to put them in fleet. there's a guidance disruptor, and then there's a tracking disruptor. The thing to remember is tracking is for turrets and guns. So if someone's shooting bullets at you, then that's, or lasers, that's tracking disruptors. And then the other one is guidance disruptors, which is missiles. So the problem with the Crucifier is that you almost want to know what you're fighting in advance. So this is a good thing. If someone says, hey, there's some caracals who want to go shoot, I know I'm going to grab the guidance disruptor because guidance disruptors work against missiles. If someone says, hey, there's some hurricanes to go shoot, I'm going to pick my tracking disruptor because I know hurricanes have guns. That takes a little bit of time to learn what the enemy has. What sometimes you can do is you can put one of each. So instead of having a tracking disruptor, you can have one of each. Now I know I'll only have one, but at least if I go into a fight that I don't know what I'm going to fight, I'll be able to affect some of the enemies. All right. So let's look at these tracking disruptors. The range within 172 kilometers, optimal range with 139 kilometers. You're pretty safe. If you stay out at 139, you're going to be pretty safe. In fact, my targeting range over here is only 123. So unless I'm boosted, I need to actually be even closer. My modules would work, but I need to be closer than 123 before I can target. So what does this do? This reduces their fall off bonus, which all guns have, all turrets have a fall off, which means just like ours have an optimal range and then it's less effective, fall off means you do less damage. So with this, the fall off bonus, it makes their damage application worse. Optimal range bonus, that decreases their optimal range, so the amount of damage they do, their top damage is decreased because of the optimal range bonus. And then their tracking speed, so that's actually how fast the guns can move to track your ship. So if you are in a small ship trying to fly around a big ship, they have big guns that move slowly. A tracking disruptor makes them move even slower. So you can get in a frigate and go around a battleship and they'll never be able to hit you. They can get lucky. Just like Malice, this has scripts that has a that can change it to an optimal range disruption script. So this decreases how much damage they do. And tracking disruption speed. So this focuses on only changing the tracking speed. So if you're in a bunch of small ships and you want to get in close, you can do this to the ships with the large guns, and they might not even be able to track you. Minus 56 is a huge penalty. So this, again, you need to know that the enemy has guns or turrets, but once you do, I think the optimal range is probably the safer play because you can stay far away and know that you're decreasing their optimal range, decreasing their effectiveness to fight at range. Tracking speed, if you're with the fleet commander and they'll probably tell you I want to use the tracking speed. Missiles are pretty popular right now. Caracals and are a common fleet that you see out there. Munins used to be guns, now they're missiles. Cerberuses and sacrileges are all missiles. So I put that in the Crucifier target. If you look in the MOTD, I have targets for the missile disruptors: Caracal, Munin, Cerberus, Sacrilege. They also have scripts, so we can come up here and we can put a explosion velocity and explosion radius bonus. So what this does, precision, so what that does is it makes, this gets into missile mechanics that I'm a little rusty on, but it makes them apply. The missiles don't apply as well to small ships, and so that could be one thing that you do. I think, again, the more popular one is the missile range disruption. So this would actually make the missiles fly less far, and so they wouldn't even be hitting you. So they'll be able to, with a Crucifier, the sneaky thing about the Crucifier is they can still target you. It's not like the Damps or the Griffins where some ranges they can't even target you. This one, they're targeting you, but the missiles aren't even reaching you, or they're applying less effectively. So I think to me, the Crucifier is probably, if you know what to undock, it's probably one of the easiest to fly because you can be so far away. But it's probably the hardest to understand how you're affecting the battlefield, but also one of the most effective. All right, so all of those ships so far, those are what I'm going to call those ships are nerfing the enemy. They're making them less effective to fight. So the last one is the Vigil, which is also in the MOTD. This is the Mimitar one. The Vigil's different. The Vigil is now a ship that's providing a bonus to your fleet members. So they're using target painters. Again, amazing range. And what it's doing is it's giving a signature radius modifier, 47% signature radius modifier. That means the signature of a ship. So if it's a caracal and you expand it by 50%, now it's as big as a battle cruiser. And if you do it twice, there's a stacking penalty, but now you could make a cruiser the size of a battleship. Don't check my math. It gets bigger and it makes it easier for guns and missiles to apply and makes things explode. So vigils are also one of the most common in big fleets and nullsec fleets. You'll often see vigils pushed. They usually want 5 to 10 vigils, and then they say, okay, that's enough because any more target painters won't work, and then they ask them to go fly some other EWAR. So FCs always want a few vigils because they want these target painters to make their targets die easier. This one probably has in terms of producing salt of your enemy, this one helps your friends kill things, but your enemies don't get like as mad as some of the other ones can make. So EWAR, I like that aspect of EWAR that you can just take with your 3 million isk ship, you can take a 300 mil or 3 bill, or like I did, a 100 bill isk ship just off the field, and that power is amazing. The target painter can help things die, but it doesn't do it by itself. So it's not my favorite, but it's definitely a critical EWAR module. So that is really the basics of EWAR. I'm going to look at my notes, see what else I missed. Now is a good time for questions while I look at my notes. Either in Fleet Chat or in comms, it's fine.
If we can go back to Griffin, when you state staggering your ECMs on a single target, is capacitor your only consideration, or are there any other considerations?
So capacitor, it's really easy to run on a capacitor, and then you can't warp, then you can't do other things. But also, if you're really lucky, so it's chance based, or if you brought like if you know they're flying basilisks, okay, basilisks have a week, so you know they came every day to fight you, and you know they're gonna have basilisks. This is one of my favorite things I like to do with like an alt. So they have a 22-point gravimetric sensor strength. If you get some T2, if you get your blue jams, and I have good skills, so I've got my T2 gravimetric ECM here. Sorry, I'm going kind of fast. Trying to do some rough math for you since you asked. So here I have a 10.8 gravimetric ECM jammer strength. If I remember my math correctly, so the Basilisk had a 22. That means I have like a 45% chance to jam them every time. If I undock with, if I have these jams, these other ones are going to have like a 2% chance to jam. This still can happen. But if I was trying to jam that Basilisk, I would use my blue jam for sure. I might save the other ones for somebody else. If I knew Basilisk was coming and I had 4 of these, then what I would do is I would cycle them, because then if you get lucky, and so if I start this one and then we'll practice the cycle time, then I wait a quarter cycle, do this one, this one, this one. If they all hit, well, now I've at least maximized, instead of, if I hit all four at once, they'd all jam for the same amount of time. But if I cycle them slowly, then the first jam will hit, and then the last jam will fade off 5 seconds later. I forget the exact timing of it, but I like to space mine out. It helps with both capacitor and also if you get the jam on the first one, then you can pick another target with the second one.
So quarter is your recommendation.
That's my recommendation. Yeah. If now there are times, so like in Sov Warfare, there are times that all you need is a jam. Doesn't matter how long. So this is for Entosis. You need a jam, and you need to survive. So what you do is you warp in, you hit all four, and you warp off, because all you're trying to do is break their lock. So there's different use cases. There's the jams. Um, Jams don't have to stack. There's nothing to stack. In fact, if two Griffins jam the same target, then it just gives that person two targets they can shoot off. So ideally, you spread jams. And one way we do that in Fleet is I'm Jinx, so my name starts with J. So I'm going to try to jam John, and Elon is going to try to jam Flax because F is the closest thing to E. So that's like one way we recommend picking targets is something close to your name. All right, let me look at my notes. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is true for all EWAR. So we're talking a little bit about flying, and then we'll practice it. So EWAR ships are really fragile, and even though you see hit points when you look at them, you just need to assume if you're getting targeted and you get shot, you're gonna die. So you don't have tank. Your entire tank is being far away so they can't shoot you, or warping away so they don't have an opportunity to shoot you. So what you want to do is you want to arrive late to the party. So if the fleet is about to warp down into the fight, you want to control space, or even which stops your warp, or even flags them from fleet warp. Then you warp in late. You want to warp in at your optimal if you can, and now you're safe. So now I've got the friendly fleet is between me and the enemy fleet, and I've got 60 kilometers or something, 100 kilometers if you can target out that far. So that's your first defense. Now I'm going to line out. I'm going to pick a celestial object or a bookmark away from the enemy. I'm going to start moving in that direction without my prop mod, my micro warp drive. I'm going to pick my targets. I'm going to apply my EWAR. And then if people start targeting me, I'm going to warp off. And then I'm going to warp back, and I'm going to do it again. Then if you want to get a little bit better at it, what you do is you start putting bookmarks. When you warp in and out, and we'll practice this, you start putting bookmarks as close as you can to the fleet fight. And then you warp off to your bookmark and you warp back. You want to understand target preference. Sometimes you can ask your FC. I talked a little bit about it here. So like you don't want to, if you're in a Crucifier, you don't want to go after logistics ships. You're doing nothing. You want to go after, if you have a Crucifier, you want guidance disruptors. You need to shoot something with missiles, or tracking disruptor, something with guns. What's your enemy? A lot of times there's interceptors or tackle that are flying around the outside of the battle, and they're trying to shoot you. Any ship that has really long range is your enemy. We already talked about it, but stay aligned. Keep moving. You never want to be standing still. If you're standing still, you can get sniped. If you're with friends, if you have a lot of friends, you want to spread out. What we call that is star bursting. So when a fleet lands, if we're landing on a gate together, and then we're gonna have a fight there, I'm gonna pick a random direction to go, and you're gonna pick a different random direction. So that way, if there's an interceptor going around and killing EWAR, at least I'm safe because I'm not next to you, or vice versa. Lots of bookmarks. Control B is how you make bookmarks. You want to get used to that.
I just thought I'd mention you have a few questions in the class questions channel in Discord.
Sure. How many cruisers do you want it for to be worth to fly a Vigil with lasers? You mean on your side? Uh, I think most people will always take an EWAR frigate if that's what you can fly. But if you so they always help things apply better. If if you can fly, if they can, they'll sometimes ask you, "Can you fly a Caracal?" And if you say no, then a Vigil's fine. Um, I didn't really go over the skills. I'll leave a. This is the Eve Uni. I'm gonna copy paste it. The skills make you more and more effective. The really nice thing about EWAR is if you train them to level 4, you can get almost all EWAR skills to level 4 within like a week. And then I have all level 5 skills because I like EWAR, but it was like months of training that was basically just because I wanted to do it. Whereas level 4 gets you to 80 or 90% effectiveness, and is really good. Okay. Well, I think that's it. If you are planning to fly with us, if you want to get on the undock in Stackman, if you're not here and you're trying to get here, join Fleet or XUp, and we'll try to get you there. And we'll plan to fly here in about 5 or 10 minutes.
I just had a thought of a question. Is there any instance where you overheat your modules?
Oh yes, yes. So yeah, overheating is kind of an advanced tactic, but like for ECM, actually, that's what I need to do. Thank you for reminding me. I'll show my. It takes some explanation, but I'll show my clip from the tournament. But if you overheat the module, it increases for ECM. It increases the strength of your ECM, so it increases the chance for it working. All the different ones have different effects. Let me look. I think some of them actually just make it stronger. Now they do burn out really fast, so you need to understand. So overheating is out here when we're simulating it. So yeah, it makes the sensor dampener even stronger. I think there's probably less times where that extra 5% of a sensor dampener is going to help you versus the Griffin. If you really need to jam somebody, overheating it and getting an extra, so this goes from 9.7 jammer strength to 11, that can be significant in terms of your percent chance. Crucifier, again, I don't know. I think you're overheating your prop mod to run away is probably a better use of heat. But there's a nice overheating class for Eve Uni that I've taught before as well. So I think Griffin is probably the best one to overheat if you're going to overheat one.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. There are T2 ships for all this. I didn't get into those, but if you like electronic warfare, there are ships for you to advance into. A lot of armor ships use some electronic warfare, so that even though you have guns, you might have one tracking disruptor, you might have one jam. So there's a lot of opportunity. I really like the extra angle that it adds to fleet fights. I've seen in Brave, we've had people come fight us. They're just fun fleets, and they have so much healers that we can't break them. We couldn't kill anybody. We undock 5 or 6 Griffins. We all fly in, jam some of the Logi, and we're able to kill the fleet. And let me grab my link, and I'll give you some context. I'm not sure this is going to work for the stream, but I'll share it anyway. All right, so context of this is I'm in a Griffin, and we were fighting Fraternity, which we're doing in game now too. And we knew that in the Alliance Open, it wasn't actually real ships. We knew they could bring an Alliance tournament ship, and we thought that they would bring the Atana, which is about 100 bill. It's the best shield repping ship there is. It has really bad sensor jam strength. So there it is. If you show info, you can come down. 16. So Basilisk has 22 is 16. So it's pretty easy to jam if you don't increase its sensor strength with other modules. So if you go view this link,
towards this Griffin just to shove him up.
What you're kind of joining in the middle of the action. What's happened is I'm in the Griffin. I jammed the Atana, and they started dying, and now they had to abandon. So in these tournaments, it's usually just everyone shoots each other right in the face because you're in a small arena. They had to abandon shooting everybody and have everyone chase me down to try to kill me. Otherwise, they were going to lose. So this is CCP Swift announcing, and this is one of my favorite moments in EVE, but this is them trying to kill me while I continue to jam the Atana, and their whole fleet is wiped. So just go ahead and watch it. If you have questions about that, I can answer too.
The field, let that wildcard Atana. It's got the most rep that you can get on any ship in the game, remote rep that is, and it can't do anything. It's permanently jammed here. This is another cycle where it will not get a rep off. This broadsword is down. Fraternity are crumbling. This brave Griffin is finally tackled and going down, belonging to Jinx, but too little too late. Where they traded a single Griffin for 2 Sleipnirs and 2 broadswords. Oh my god.
This MTU just almost got alpha straight through, and the next broadsword. I don't think I've ever seen our broadsword die that fast.
Oh my goodness, the broadsword had 100% win rate going into this. We thought it was a joke, but nope. Double Sleipnir, triple broadswords are all down. Frat have nothing left in the tank. They got this Griffin down, but there's nothing to keep their Atana alive. These Scorps from the Brave side, they just did so much work, but
All right. I know it can be hard to follow if you're not familiar, but if at the beginning I was in the Griffin at the very bottom, so I was far away from everybody. They had already started chasing me, so they have 4 of their destroyers, and I think they had 2 destroyers and 2 frigates chasing me, and I was just overheating as much as I could to get out. And hi, Durbin. Yes, you're allowed to be here. I'm assuming he's not in fleet chat. All right. Any questions on that? Otherwise, let's get on the undock if you have a ship, and then we'll go into LowSec and practice a little bit. So I already loved EWAR before that, and now that's like one of my top 5 memories in EVE. So that's after that I was like, okay, I'm maxing out my EWAR skills. Oh, I was at the station. Let me warp over. Enjoying all of you on the Fortzar. So Rixie, those were everyone was max skills for the whole tournament. And once I had that, I had to get it for real. All right, I'm gonna dock up, see if there's anybody else not undocked. I see some Malice, Crucifier, Griffin, Malice. Great. I'm in a Cormorant. You guys are gonna make me suffer. Zolpin, Kukrajek, not vegan tofu. If you want to come, go ahead and just undock. Everybody can go ahead and align to the LowSec gate. What is that called? Osnikel. Feel free to ask questions at this point. If you have your broadcast window, I've broadcasted. Go ahead and align there. And I will warp everybody here in a second. Not super familiar with LowSec stuff, So I think if we go to the sun, we'll be okay. Everybody check your pods. If you don't want to be in the pod in low sec, then go back and reship. You'll be able to catch up. All right, for the viewers, let's see. With my targeting range scripts running, I have a targeting range of 103, and my guns can hit out to about the same 97. We'll see what happens to me. Everybody take the gate, take the gate. Align to the sun when you're there. Yeah, I got a longbow. All right. Broadcast this line. Align. Oh.
Sorry, lemminged.
You lemminged. It's all right. All right, everybody take this fleet warp. Okay, on land, I want you to starburst, which means go in a random direction, away from me. To act like, so all of you are together, and I'm the enemy. Okay, it's hard because I'm purple, so you might have to have a friendly tab. I can drop fleet if necessary. Prefer not to. You can target me in space, but act like I'm the hostile. So go ahead and at least get your optimal range, if not your maximum targeting range. You want to turn on your prop mod. Anytime you're trying to get away from bad people like me, you want to turn on your market warp drive and get as far away as possible. Okay, so don't everybody hit me at once, but what I'm going to do is if I target you, then you need to pick somewhere. This Fortizar is a great place to warp to, actually. So what I would do is I'd align to the Fortizar or anything that you can see, and if I target you, I'm gonna shoot you. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. You might have to have your safety on yellow, I think, for low sec if it's not working. But I'm gonna target you, and you need to warp off, or like in the Malice there, you might be able to damp me. If you damp me before I target you, then you'll be fine at 105. So again, your safety is your is completely your range. Okay, John, you're safe because you're 116. Moonface, you're in trouble. You're not aligned out. Oh, I'm gonna shoot you. See, so that was one volley, Moonface. So, and your jam won't help you. So a jammer won't help you. Oh, I'm gonna kill you if I'm not careful. You need to warp out because you're too close. You're 45 kilometers. So your safety is warping away from me. Oh, I'm jammed. So I can look down here if you're watching the stream. I know Kukerjack is trying to jam me. Find you in space. I have to use my friendly tab. Oh, you're nice and far away. So Zolp, you're coming in at me hot, so I'm going to shoot you. So you better turn off that prop mod and you better warp away. And then when you warp back, I want you to control B while you're warping. All right, Griffins, don't jam me too bad. Oh, John. See, John's got me. Oh, but he's too close. So you got to warp away. Oh, very nice, John. So you were in trouble until you got your damps back on me. All right, Elon, I'm targeting you. I can't really for real, but warp off, warp off. See, the Malices are able to protect themselves at that extreme range. If you're in a Griffin, go ahead and try to hit me if you want to try to jam me. What jam should you use while I'm in it? Yeah, that's right. There you go. All right, Ramage, what disruptor are you using? Oh, missile won't work on me, right?
I got both.
Okay. So yeah, the missile does nothing to me. The tracking disruption. I'm jammed right now. Oh, I'm jammed by Moonface again. You guys are so mean. See, but I can target Moonface back. And I'm going to shoot Moonface again. Oh! Moonface was ready. Warped off. Who hasn't? Rixie, Zolp, Flax. All of you need to warp off. I'm targeting you. Pretending to. Elon, Cuckoo, and Ram. Oh, I'm James still. So, let's see here. Man, John and Ramage, can you guys not do? Can you not disrupt me? Let me see what. Wait. Leave it on. So right now my optimal range is 47. Okay, now it's 88. It's 47 if you leave it on. Let's see what my targeting range is. My targeting range is 103 right now. Oh, I'm not damped anymore. But that really makes the demonstration difficult. Oh, I'm gonna get Ramage Man now. Hitting him. He's gotta warp off. So when you tracking disrupted me, I lost target because you affected my range. Yeah, so I was simulating calling out targets just because I had everybody jamming me or damping me. If you're yellow box, you need to warp off. And in a fleet, you'll often get multiple yellow boxes. But sometimes people just remember if they don't have guns, you don't have to warp off. So if I was in a logistics ship and you're jamming me, then you have nothing to worry about. Or if I'm in a short range ship and you're far away, then as long as I'm not chasing you down, then you're fine. I'm gonna get John here. Oh, John, see, I was gonna target you, and you got me with the damps first, so now I can't do it.
Yeah, I had a little bit of warning when you said you were targeting me.
Okay.
I knew I was getting a little close.
All right, we got Griffins. All right, let's practice doing some bookmarks. Everybody, go ahead and stop jamming me. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna warp off somewhere far. Let's go. I guess I can just warp everybody. We're gonna go to this asteroid belt. So if you've got one already, it's cheating. But as we're warping, everybody hit Control B, and then while you're in warp, you can put the bookmark down before you come out. But there's a maximum distance. You want to be more than 150 kilometers. So I'm going to do it now. And we'll practice it a couple times, but we want to see who can get the closest bookmark to our fleet location. Did I warp everybody or did I warp myself? So I just got 400 kilometers. So that's a really good EWAR warp point. Oh, there you are. I was on the wrong tab. Did anybody else get a bookmark down before we landed? So 88. Yeah, so 80 won't work for your first warp. So what you would have to do is, like, if we were in a fight here, what you would do is you warp to the sun, which would take a while, and then you could warp back to 100 at that one, and that would work. All right, we're gonna take it. Come back, Zolp. Come back. Oh, once it's down, so once you have the bookmark down, it should appear in space, and you can look at it. If it's not appearing, you can go down above your shield overlay. You can see the sensor overlay, make sure that's on, Control O, and you want to see the personal bookmarks on there. All right, come back to me. Somebody warped off. Yeah, 8K is not actually that bad. It takes practice. But if the FC says, here we go, and they like get ready to fight, that this is something that you can do. All right. We were going to have a contest, but everybody has to come to me if we're going to have the contest. Otherwise, it's not fair. Any questions at this point? There's a question of the duration of EWAR effect on a player set, or is it possible to increase it with skills, or are they module based? So the jam has a % chance to be effective, and then that is always the same duration. And all the other ones are as long as the module is running. All right, Cuckoo, I think I can warp you from here. Well, actually, come over here. And it's we all warp together. Everybody turn off your prop mod so you get the warp at the same time. You can go ahead and align to the sun. Align to the sun. I think you'll get this warp, Cuckoo. Oh, you're coming. Okay. Everybody align to the sun. All right, whoever gets the closest bookmark to 150 to where I warp to, you'll... So once we land, go ahead and warp back to your bookmark to prove that you have it. So I'm going to warp us to a random range to the sun. Whoever gets within 150 kilometers of that, closest to 150 kilometers, I'll give 100 mil. Take this, start your control B. You can name it anything, and watch as it goes. It ticks down, so now we're 1,000,000 kilometers, 200,000, and it won't tell you exactly. You just have to decide. See how we did. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of Tristans. How could they have known about us here? All right, everybody. So what are we going to do? We're going to fly away from them. And we want to stay at our maximum ranges. I have a range of 100 kilometers. So everybody, let's approach them. Stay behind me a little bit. We can see their Tristan. Let's see what they got on field here. I'm putting on my overview. We got Tristans, Ares, and Claws. So Tristans, what jams do we want to use against the Tristans? Green jams. Okay, we're within range. So I'm going to start locking them up. I want you guys to go ahead and spread your ECM. Doesn't matter if it's the wrong color. Go ahead and spread it. You are flying your own ship. You don't want to be too close to me. And go ahead and spread ECM. If you got tracking disruptor, put that on the Catalyst Navy issue. If you got, if you have a Malice, go ahead and put the damps on whoever. Oh, I better get out of here. I'm gonna get tackled. Get far away, far away. Warp off if you get targeted, guys. Warp off if you get targeted. Tristan's coming in. So fly away from the enemy. We don't want to be close to them. Go ahead. Who's got jams? If you get a jam, go ahead and call out your jam or put that you have a jam on who in fleet chat. So that's a way. If we know you have a jam, then we can target somebody else.
I got a jam on Young Piyuk.
Okay, so everybody else get on somebody else. Pick somebody close to your name and put the jams on them. If you have a drone and you're close to me, go ahead and shoot these drones that are on me. Yeah, if you do have drones in, they're really for last ditch or to get some damage on like a structure if you're bashing or something. They're not really going to do much for defense. So is everybody staying at range? All right, Moonface, you want to warp out if you're not close?
I'm jammed.
Oh,
I got scrammed.
You got scrammed? All right, so who is scramming? If you call it out, we can jam him.
Colonel something.
All right, I want full jams on Colonel Cassid. Align out and be ready to warp off. Are you dead?
No, he stopped killing me.
Okay.
I'm still scrammed. I just went off.
All right. So those are using jams. Are you running out of capacitor? If you're running out of capacitor, make sure use less jams until you have more capacitor or cycle them. Yeah. See. See, Colonel is saying in local, you need to free your man. He's tackled. So everybody try to jam Colonel. Use green jams first. If they're not working, you can try getting a little bit closer. Oh, Moon died. Moon, you can go reship if you want.
Womp womp. That's all good. I'll fly around in my pod here and harass people.
All right. Well, everyone, I salute 7-0. That's how Brave salutes. But everyone give your salutes to Sedition here and say thanks for coming out. And I hope this gave you a little practical lesson to go with the classroom lesson we had. Let me know what you think. Keep asking questions. I'll hang around for a little bit.
Is there ever a reason to take EWAR over Logi, like in a fleet of less than 10 people?
So sometimes one, if you don't have the skills, if you sorry, I'm typing. One, if you don't have the skills, of course, the EWAR. But sometimes people don't take Logi on purpose because, well, one, your ship could self-rep, so you're not worried about it. So everyone could be repping themselves. Two, you might to get fights. If you bring too much Logi, a lot of times you can't get fights. And so that can be one way you can do it is you just don't take you don't take Logi, and then it's more fair. So then you can bring EWAR as one way to do it. Oh, I'm dying horribly. All right, I got potted back. Let me look